Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your off-season edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion. It is Monday, the 8th day of March 2021, and as the graphic, there it is, behind me says, the general topic of today's discussion will be the quiet weather week that it looks like we are going to have. No major winter storms, no major severe weather outbreaks. There's some stuff to watch, certainly, but no big-ticket widespread events right now, kind of a quiet pattern ahead. So let's start off where we usually do in the off-season version of the outlook and discussion, and that would be the sea surface temperature anomalies. Not much change overall, generally warmer than average across most of the Atlantic basin over here. We still have the La Nina holding on fairly strong, although it has moderated a little bit. There are some changes in the pressure pattern across the Pacific. The Southern Oscillation Index is beginning to fall, more negative numbers lately. So there are changes afoot, but nothing significant. I think we're still going to see cool neutral to maybe weak La Nina conditions throughout most of 2021. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. I'll tease it. Look at these tabs right here as I mouse over them and they kind of highlight. Yep, couple of tabs there from Ben Noll on Twitter. So you know there must be something interesting to talk about there. I also find it curious about this large area of cold anomaly pattern between the equator down here and, let's say, the coast of California and the Baja. You know, we've seen this very warm in recent years, but lately it has cooled off pretty significantly, while the Atlantic basin, just to kind of draw your attention again, put a big old plus here, being above normal. This is generally all below normal or average, whatever you want to call it. Not much change overall, and I don't expect that we will see any. And I can show you, again, teasing what we're going to show you from Ben here. I just don't think we're going to see too many changes over the next few months. Nothing dramatic anyway. All right, so the actual sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. If you're heading down there for spring break, those of you that have spring break coming up, Florida Keys, water temperatures pretty nice, upper 70s. But if you're going to go down to the Gulf Coast of, let's say, the Florida Panhandle around the Mississippi Sound and vicinity, Dauphin Island, Panama City Beach, over to Gulfport or past Christian, or if you want to go over to Texas, yeah, the shelf waters there are still a little bit chilly, so I would avoid at least getting in the water. I don't want to tell you to avoid going to those areas because they are nice, especially now that there's no hurricanes to worry about. And you know, temperatures are warming up. We're headed into the spring season, but they're still a little chilly, especially in the wake of that very cold period that we had in February. Nevertheless, the Gulf itself warming up nicely, 26 degrees Celsius, isotherm creeping up more and more, even a few pockets of 27 Celsius coming in there. That's about 81 Fahrenheit. And even down here, there's 25 Celsius right there. And right here in parts of the southeast Bay of Campeche, or Campeche, whichever way you want to pronounce it, water temperatures warming nicely there as well. So it's kind of interesting if we go back to the anomalies map and we zoom in here to the Gulf. Yeah, a good part of the southeast Gulf is running above the long-term average. But as I say over and over and over, maybe you get sick and tired of me saying it, we know the Gulf will always be warm enough for strong hurricanes. It's just a matter of where does the energy set up early, which can affect severe weather season and maybe early season hurricane stuff, right? We'll see. We don't have any way of knowing for sure. But it is interesting how warm this area right here has stayed throughout the Northern Hemisphere winter. What will it mean later? Well, stay tuned. We'll find out together, I guess. In the area of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northwest Atlantic basin itself, off the coast of New England and so forth. Yeah, water temperatures gradually warming up, but still very, very cold. The gradient between the Gulf Stream through here and the colder currents back to the north and west, fairly steep in some places, not so much in others. I mean, nothing really alarming or different. I mean, honestly, we have been in this pattern where the Northwest Atlantic has been warmer than average for several years now. I can't even remember when we've seen a really cold pattern up here versus the norms, right? The background state, it just always seems to be warmer than average, you know, as of the last several years. That stuff falling down in my office. So no real changes here. Big changes anyway coming up. If you're going to the beaches for spring break here, yeah, good luck with that because the waters are just way too cold. In fact, I was going to go to the Outer Banks this past weekend. We have a Nest camera there in Rodanthe that's not working right now. Something's gone goofy with it, probably the outdoor power supply. It gets salt and other crud from blowing in off the ocean in there. And, you know, salt water and electrical stuff just doesn't work very well. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to wait because they had a stiff northeast wind down there coming off that cold water of the Atlantic. And I'm just too chicken. I mean, look, I'm wearing a hoodie in the office today. The older I get, the more sensitive to cold I get, even though I don't mind being in a blizzard. Isn't that weird? But hang in there, folks. The water temperatures are warming. They're getting there. It's only March the 8th. The sun is doing its thing, adding incoming solar radiation. We call that insolation, I-N-S-O-L-A-T-I-O-N. That's your word of the day, insolation. It's coming. Water temperatures will be on their way up. And probably for a while. Good segue into this from our good friend Ben Noll over in New Zealand. He says in today's interesting tweet, the new NMME, that stands for North American Multi-Model Ensemble, seasonal shows La Nina-like conditions for much of 2021, indicating, and this is interesting, a possible re-strengthening of the event, the La Nina event, towards the end of the year. A warmer than average Atlantic is also shown as the puzzle pieces coming together here inferred into what he is saying. Yeah, the hurricane season is around the corner, you know, a little over 2 months away before we start getting advisories and under 90 days to go before the official start on June the 1st. By the way, the Eastern Pacific season still officially begins May the 15th, and when the WMO and people from the Hurricane Center from the United States, the National Hurricane Center, meet in the next few days, I think they're doing. I got to check in on that, but we might have a change to where officially the Atlantic hurricane season begins on May 15th. It doesn't really matter. I've made the argument before that encompassing everything together from mid-May to mid-November or the end of November, whatever, that's fine. It's tropical cyclone season. Waters are warming. The climate is changing, no doubt about that. You know, again, that's not what we really talk about here from, you know, in any great detail because I am not an anthropogenic global warming expert. I'm not, so I'm not going to discuss something that I don't know much about. But I do know, because I've done this for 20 years, that the oceans are warming. And so maybe moving the hurricane season up a little bit is the right thing to do. Why not? I mean, it matches. So anyway, the NMME shows a resurgence of the La Nina, as you can see here on this GIF animation, going through time there. That's May, June, July. There's August and September and October. Yep. So, you know, it's almost upon us. We're going to have to really watch that kind of stuff. And then he also tweeted, and this is a little concerning for other reasons, that the NMME, summer precipitation anomalies for the U.S., are eye-opening. The brown is drier, and the wet is green is wetter. I almost screwed that up. So a huge dry area through this area. That's not good. Maybe a little bit more monsoon in the desert southwest. That'd be all right. I like studying that. That's an interesting phenomenon. That also might be from possible tropical cyclone interaction throughout the Pacific hurricane season. You never know. What is the deal with this, though? Why is there an island of wet in the middle of all this dryness? You can see a little bit of a possible recurve indicator. I don't know. I mean, you can't read too much into this. All you have to have is one or even two hurricanes to break through and change this around. But generally speaking, this multi-model ensemble, that's the MME part, is taking a look at all of the different models, and you get an ensemble, kind of an average. And we did like a whole Hurricane U about it recently. Look for that on my YouTube channel. You know what? I will make a mental note to put a link to that in today's video discussion. If you missed it with Ben Noll, that guy right there, we talked about this model, how it's derived a little bit. It's a little bit of an explainer, what we call our Hurricane U series, U for University. And it goes into a little bit more detail about how we get to this kind of stuff. But it's interesting eye-opening, as Mr. Noll says. Lots of dryness in parts of the nation's midsection. Initialized March 2021, and this is June, July, August. Now, once we get to September, that's not going to change, but some of this might start to change because of hurricanes. We'll just wait and see. All right? All right, is that it? Oh, no, it just expands larger. That is it. All right, so let's move out of the tropics stuff, tropics topics, into lower 48 weather. There's a few interesting things you can see today on the cloud cover animation from Tropical Tidbits. Interesting low clouds just kind of hanging around parts of Central America and Mexico. Kind of an odd look to it. Nothing, it's just weird. It looks like fog. I mean, I don't think it is, but that's just a strange look, you have to admit. Kind of some low clouds. Here's your subtropical jet coming in with some high cloudiness streaming into parts of the Four Corners region and the Rockies. Some storminess coming in again to the Pacific Northwest, where we had some hail yesterday. In fact, I messed up. I wanted to show you something on Twitter, so we can fix that right now. Live, fixing my error while we do this. I go to me, and let's see all the people. Wait a minute. Come on, Mark. There we go. Check this out yesterday. It's down here somewhere from our good friend Chris out in the Pacific Northwest near Bremerton. I think that's how you say it. Oh, look at the snow. Nope, that is hail. Yeah, a little bit of hail there. I'd say that's a little bit more than a little bit. But this is what some of that cold air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere can do, that instability. You get that pattern of storminess and some convective activity. That was over here in the Pacific Northwest yesterday. So thanks, Chris, for sharing that. That's what it looked like yesterday. Covering the ground in hail. It doesn't take a lot of deep thunderstorms to create this kind of hail when you get very cold air in the upper atmosphere. And you can tell there's a lot of cold air because of all that speckled look to the clouds in here. A lot of instability, a lot of cold air. And more of that's coming into the Pacific Northwest as we put a ridge over a good deal of the Midwest and the East, meaning a nice, generally quiet weather week ahead for the most part, and that's reflected on the National Watches and Warnings map. This is interesting down here. Just wanted to point this out. That would be for frost and freeze issues in South Carolina and Georgia because the growing season has begun. Because of recent warm temperatures, some of the plants have begun to leaf out, as it is called. And now, with this bit of cold high pressure still residing over the east, thumbs down for that, because I'm ready for spring and the warmth that comes with it myself. I want to trade that in for the hurricane logo again. Let's get the winter out of here. In fact, I'm going to stop wearing this after today, officially. I like winter weather. I like covering it, but it's time for warm weather. But really, that's up. That advisory area down in the low country, as it's called, is for the potential of some frost and freeze conditions, which can harm tender vegetation. All right? And then there's other different areas of watches and warnings for various reasons. Blizzard warnings in parts of Alaska. Flash flood watches for parts of Hawaii, just so you know. And then these little green areas I'll highlight in orange, all through here, kind of encompassed in that little polygon I drew. Those are river flood warnings, and there's some of those in eastern North Carolina. Seriously, this is a great map if you want to know what's going on with the weather. You pay for it with your taxes, at least you should be. The biggest crowd-funded weather site there is, weather.gov. There you go. Click on anything around here, the Sierra Nevada, whatever your fancy is, whatever you're interested in. And, of course, it won't load because, well, there you go. It did. And you get all kinds of information. It's very, very nice, very helpful, and it doesn't cost anything. Just pay your taxes, like I said. I just did, or I'm going to the state of North Carolina. That's a story for another day. That's what it helps to support. Anyhow, looking at severe weather, since we are in severe weather season, not much going on today. General thunderstorms, maybe. Did you see it? Right there. Very small area along the west coast. And again, remember what I showed you. Why is that there? Because of this. Whoops, if I could just draw on it. This cold air and instability, that storm system coming in, will bring the chance for some widely scattered, just kind of no big deal thunderstorms. But you could get, well, even less, that's 5% or under. So it's marginal. I mean, it's not even marginal. It's like barely there. I mean, what would you call that? It's like just general thunderstorms. And you can read about it in some of these products here. Just overall, no severe thunderstorms areas. So that's the point, is just general thunderstorms, not severe. All right? All right. I got to remember all that. We're going to be talking about it more. Tomorrow, though, that area expands to include more of coastal California. So get ready. You might see some cold air funnel clouds, more hail reports. But again, let me just make this very clear. You don't have to have severe weather to get hail. And the hail that I showed you from our buddy Chris there out in Washington State was small hail. There was just a lot of it, so it was able to cover the ground. So don't mistake this as being, oh my gosh, there's going to be bad thunderstorms coming into California and the rest of the Pacific, the West Coast there. No, they're general thunderstorms without them being at severe limits, put it that way. And again, you can mouse over these different parameters, and you get the idea. Less than 2% of tornado threat, less than 2% for hail, and 5 for hail, 2 for wind, whatever. It's just not too big a deal coming up, luckily. But that starts to change once we get out to day 3. Then we can see that we're starting to get about a 5% overall chance of severe weather. And that's really low, yes. But we're seeing the signs of something that I'm going to be very interested in as we move across these warmer months, and that is the severe weather season taking shape over the Great Plains, because we're heading out there to do some experimenting and some testing. I'll talk about that in a moment. And again, you can scroll down. I'm not going to read it. You can read it yourself, right? But there you go, just pointing you in the direction of where you can find the good information. But generally speaking, I will read the summary to you. Marginal threat of severe thunderstorms with hail and strong wind gusts will be possible for parts of far northern Oklahoma into western Missouri from late Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday evening. So you guys in this area, just keep an eye out, okay? A lot of stuff going on in the world. Don't let the weather sneak up on you. That's the idea here, is to keep you on top of it. Then, moving out into time, day 5 and day 6, day 7, yeah, there's even more severe weather coming up, possibly, in the nation's midsection, so we have to watch that very carefully. We can see that played out here on the GFS. We go back to the beginning, move this through, head out 48 hours from this morning, and some snow in the Rockies, and, storminess out west, as I showed you just a moment ago. Rain at the lower elevations, maybe some thunderstorms, snow in the Sierra again, which is great news for them. But look at this. I like seeing this. The high slides offshore right there. And look at all these isobars over here, kind of getting packed in there over the plains. That, my friends, is your return flow coming around the backside of the ridge out there, the surface high. And that's a good thing to see if you like warm weather. But it'll also begin to create more in the way of favorable conditions for thunderstorm activity. As we move through day 4, there's day 5, surface cyclone moving across out of the Four Corners region into the Texas Panhandle. You see that there. Classic comma shape to it. Heavy snows for parts of the Rockies. And then thunderstorms possible for the Great Plains. And come to think of it, I might have to look at this closer. It's almost 6 days out. Maybe I need to just take a trip out there, even if it's just with my vehicle, rent something from Denver International. I don't know, that's kind of got my attention there. A little scouting for what we're going to do in May. Interesting. I'm glad I watched my own update unfold here. Isn't that funny how that works? Anyhow, seriously, this is the time of year when severe weather becomes more prevalent. Cold and snow on the backside of those surface cyclones, that's what they're called. And then we're out to more than a week, so we leave it there. But generally speaking, we're getting into that time of year. Again, more severe weather, clash of the seasons, warm weather, moist temperatures. It is moist weather coming around the backside of that strong Atlantic high, the big Bermuda high setting up. So while we welcome the warm temperatures, and I can get rid of this, I like the hoodie. Don't get me wrong. I'm just ready for the warm weather and all that implies. We do have to pay attention to some of these signals here and be on top of it, be aware, and protect ourselves, right? Because we have the gift here of computer models and social media to get information out. Let's use that gift wisely and be ready. All right? All right. One of the things that I'm going to help you be ready with, I'm proud to show you this. You're looking at the first iteration of the 2021 official HurricaneTrack.com hurricane tracking map. I'm going to send this to print in about the next 10 days or so. I print these through a company called UPrinting, and I've been doing these tracking maps for more than 20 years. That's where I started my career, by the way, as doing maps like this. I did storm surge awareness maps. I've even won awards for my work. I used to produce these by the hundreds of thousands for TV stations and big companies such as Lowe's Home Improvement. I actually drew that map myself in Adobe Illustrator a long time ago on an old Power Mac G3. I modify it every once in a while and make some changes to it. And I started printing these again last year. I've done it off and on. I think I did some. It hasn't been consistent, but now it's going to be. So this is the 2021 version. All of these that I print up, I'm going to print up about 300 of them, and I'm going to send all of our $25 patrons right here. You get a paper map on Patreon. You get one included with your patronage. And if you've been a patron, you hopefully already know that. And if you're brand new or you sign up and you join that level, you're going to get one. I'll email you or message you, get your address. And that's part of what we do through Patreon. So all of our $25 patrons, I'm going to mail you one of these. It is full color. It is 20 by 28 inches. So it's big. It's a full poster size. And I'm going to add something to it that I'm not going to tell you about. So we were talking about it in our private chat today with some of our back end people that I work with. Came up with a good idea. You're just going to have to wait and see. If you're not a patron or you're not able to do that, I understand it. I am going to make these available once they get here and once they're printed. You'll be able to just buy one outright, just like it did last year. They will be $20, including shipping. Not 20 plus shipping, 20 including shipping. And we'll talk about it when they get in, but I just wanted to show it to you, kind of tease it. There's the names: Anna, Bill, Claudette, Danny, Elsa, so forth and so on, ending with Wanda. And we should just add the V-Storm in there. That's not my surprise. And it would be Vision. Haha. WandaVision, the extremely popular show on Disney+. Hardy har. No, we don't use the letter V. Well, we do, but it's Victor. Sorry. I screwed up my own joke. It's already in there. It's V. It's Victor for V, not Vision. Way to go, Mark. That's all right. That's why I'm not a comedian, and I do this instead. But that's all part of our very non-comedic Patreon and crowdfunding that we do. If you want to join up, I'm telling you, we're going to be doing some incredible stuff. We even have this new level. If you are a business owner, there's only 6 available. That's it. And if you want to sign up and support what we're doing, I will mention your business during these here updates without the screwed up jokes, I promise. I tried. It was unpredictable. But seriously, if you want to become a business patron or any of the other levels, they are available. And we're going to be doing incredible things, including adding Zoom meetings to our $25 level this year. All sorts of good stuff. Why? Because that's how we fund what we do. It's not a subscription. Do not think of it like that. It is a cooperative. We are funding the future of our work. We work together. I get to meet a lot of the people that help to fund this. I mean, it is truly one of the most incredible things to come out of social media. And that's how you join. Patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. And of course, the Hurricane Track brand is on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're following on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, I guess where else would you watch it, right? Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and you'll know when the next videos come up, right? Right. All right. Let me bring me back up so I can say goodbye in person, so to speak. So again, really quiet week, generally speaking, ahead, which is great. But we know what's coming with severe weather season. And yes, that interesting 138-hour image there from Tropical Tidbits has my attention that maybe a trip to the Great Plains is in the offing for me in the next few days. We'll have to see. If so, I'll tell you all about it. All right? All right. As always, thanks for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. I do appreciate it very much from whatever device you happen to be tuning in from. It's great to have you here. I am Mark Sudduth for Hurricane Track. I'll talk to you again next Monday, if not before.